Hey everybody, Zooba here. This video is basically called My Thoughts on Steven Spielberg and, Steven Spielberg himself, his whole career, everything about Spielberg and my connection with him, and Disclosure Day, because Disclosure Day is causing this phenomenon about people are just so mixed in their feelings and thoughts on Disclosure Day. And I saw it on day one in my city. Saw the first matinee of the day, the very first showing at the theater. And it was a 65-seat theater, and it was half full. I got a great aisle seat because I like sitting on the aisle. Back row aisle seat, left-hand side, and it was perfect. And then right before the movie started, someone came and sat right next to me. So that was funny. But she was very nice, and she didn't cause any problems. It was the lady that sat down a few more seats that kept taking out her cell phone like 15 freaking times during the movie to check the time, and that light was coming on me, and it's like, why were you checking the time 15 times during the movie, lady? Why were you even there? What a pain in the ass. So anyway, that's why I really don't go to movies anymore these days in theaters. People are just freaking idiots. But that's a whole other thing. Let's talk about Spielberg, and that's me in Amistad. I was lucky to work with Spielberg on Amistad as an extra in 1997. Got to meet him and talk to him about movie music and just talk to him as a person, a real life person. We know Spielberg, the image, the icon of Spielberg, but I got to actually meet him in real life, and it was a pleasure. He was eating a pickle that day on the set, and what a pleasure to know him and to meet him and talk to him about movie music and John Williams and Alex North and all that fun stuff. And it was a great, I worked on the movie for about a month and a half, and I was very lucky and fortunate. I also got to work on Catch Me If You Can with DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. And I played one of the FBI guys. This is a Polaroid of a bunch of us FBI guys in the FBI scenes. I was lucky to work with him a second time. So how lucky was I? Just a lowly extra, but I was there. I watched the man work and watch the man in real life. And what a pleasure, what an honor for me to have that. Love John Williams. There's the Spielberg collaboration with John Williams, the CD cover. What a great collaboration they've had over the years. I love John Williams. I love Steven Spielberg. Spielberg on Amazing Stories. I was lucky to work on an Amazing Stories when I lived in LA and was an extra. I worked on the that one with the comet. What was it called? When the comet hit the football stars' town. Something attraction. The something attraction with the comet, and the kid became, what is it? I want to say Fatal Attraction, but it wasn't Fatal Attraction. It was something attraction. I have to look it up. Gosh, I'll put it down in the below. You know what I'm talking about. That episode where the kid that was living in the town was affected by the comet's rays, and everything stuck to him. Amazing Attraction. I can't think of the word. God, don't get old, people. Something Attraction was the name of that episode. People will know what I'm talking about. The Amazing Stories. So I was lucky I got to work on that episode of Amazing Stories. I was lucky when I moved to Seattle, Washington. I got to work on Harry and the Hendersons as a stand-in, and I got a little scene in that, and fun, and that was William Deere directed Harry and the Hendersons. John Lithgow was in it. I met Melinda Dillon. I got to talk to her about her work on Close Encounters. What a fun time for me. Another connection with Spielberg. Amblin produced Harry and the Hendersons. Spielberg was basically the executive producer on Harry and the Hendersons, and he just put the Amblin logo on there, but he didn't take it an executive producer credit, I don't believe. But it was Amblin that co-produced it with Universal, and it was a Spielberg thing. So anyway, but he never came up during the shoot. We never met up in the Seattle shoot. So, but I did get to meet him when I came back to town 10, 11 years later on Amistad. So anyway, let's talk about Disclosure Day. Spielberg is a great director. He's wonderful. One of the first big movies I saw with the Spielberg name was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977. Saw it in San Jose at the Cinema 150 Theater. It was an event, I remember. It was a rainy day. I went with my sister. And I had never seen Jaws before. I knew about Jaws, but I just never saw it. I think the only thing I saw before Close Encounters that Spielberg did was Duel, the TV movie. The TV movie about the truck. And I really liked that. So that was probably my first introduction to Spielberg. Never saw Jaws in the theater. I remember coming home from Italy in 1975 at the airport, and the craze at the airport when I landed in New York, and then on to San Jose with my mom and dad in 1975, and there was nothing in that airport except Jaws. It was all over the TV screens. It was all over the best-selling novel based on that the movie was based on being sold. Everything was Jaws at the airport when I returned that summer from Italy when I was a kid in 1975. And he took over the world for Jaws, and then again in 1977 for Close Encounters, and then all that just kept taking off, and all the great movies, Indiana Jones, all the stuff. Amazing. What an amazing man Spielberg is, and all his accomplishments. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, but Disclosure Day, which I saw on, let me see if I have that here. Yep. I'll show you my ticket stub. There's my ticket stub right there. I saw it the other day. Anyway, so my feelings on Disclosure Day. I was entertained. I loved it. I loved so many parts of it. And it was Spielberg at his top of his game. Amazing way to shoot a movie. The acting was wonderful. His casting was wonderful. I didn't think it was too long. I think it was just enough time to tell that story. So basically a thumbs up for the movie. If you think about the movie too much, it falls apart. There's things that aren't perfect in it. Most of the performances are just top notch. Emily Blunt is amazing in the movie. Josh O'Connor is really good in the movie. The supporting actors, Wyatt Russell, really good. His girlfriend, the actress that played his girlfriend, I think her name is Eve something, wonderful. Colin Firth as the bad guy is very sympathetic throughout. You can tell his character is kind of supposed to be the bad guy, but there is definite sensitivity in him, and it comes out in the end of the movie. But he is also a comic book villain, and most of his baddies, the guys in the black and the black cars and all that, they're the typical Spielberg bad guys. And they're horrible shots. They're totally inept. They can't catch the heroes that they're trying to catch and stop. They just don't have the ability to do that. They're just bumbling. And that was a downside of the movie. Very unbelievable how they had so many opportunities to off the heroes and they couldn't do it. So that was kind of unbelievable. And, but it's a movie. It's a movie. You've got to forget about all that garbage. If they would have offed the heroes in the first time they had the opportunity, the movie would have been over a half hour after it started. So you've got to give that to, it's a movie. But it's an entertaining movie, and it gets you, and the acting is great. And the story, the ideas, the emotions. Emily Blunt, she just conveys these great emotions in her scenes. And, you tear up. It's like these things hit you. They're emotional. It's undeniable. But, a lot of the train action sequence and, they become superheroes and they escape, and the guy driving the car, that really comic book bad guy, the second-hand, right-hand man to Colin Firth, he's just total comic book bad guy, just mean, and he's going to kill them, and he's going to shoot them with a gun, but he keeps missing. So he's got to go to gun school and learn how to fire a weapon. All those baddies had to go to school to learn how to shoot a gun and to take aim and to hire some snipers that can take out the heroes. But they didn't do it. So that's really a thumbs down. They're inept. But it's a movie. Bottom line, it's a movie. Is it a fun movie? Yes. Is it an engaging movie? Yes. If you think about it too hard, it falls apart. Yes. Go and enjoy it. Don't think about it too much. Spielberg's awesome. He's eating a pickle. He's a real-life person. Don't think he's horrible. Don't think he's the worst thing he's ever done. That's bullshit. It's a fun popcorn movie. And there's some deep things to think about in it. It's not perfect. It's good. It's fun. It's a movie. Enjoy it. God bless you, Steven Spielberg. I'm so lucky I've worked with you and talked with you about movie music and John Williams and Alex North and all that fun stuff. I'm so happy I got to give you a CD of the Raggedy Man score by Jerry Goldsmith, and we talked about him. And just thanks. It was a pleasure to meet you and work with you the lucky times that I got to. Love you, man. Love you, John Williams. God bless you. Great score. It's not his best score, but it fits the movie, and it doesn't intrude, and it doesn't overpower. There's slightly cringy moments in the movie where the little girl sings "One Day My Prince Will Come" from Disney. As I remember in Close Encounters when they played "When You Wish Upon a Star," that was kind of cutesy and fun and nice homage, but it was a tad cringe. But you know what? Spielberg is he's just a man. He's got feelings, and not going to hold that against him. It's all done from his heart and his love of making movies and wanting to make a movie that an audience will enjoy. So don't put him down. Don't, you can think whatever you want, but he's doing it for the right reasons. All right, 15 minutes on this Zoob out.